I'm the only white face in this area. You don't belong here. Stop, I'll shoot you in the back.
Yo, what's up? Mike from Copville here to talk about Tasty Gains creatine gummies. I would never push a product I don't use. I didn't take creatine until I ran into Tasty Gains and started taking these gummies because they're simple. No powder, no mixing, just pop a gummy in, 1 gram of creatine per gummy. What are the benefits of creatine? Increase water to the muscles to get that sick pump in the gym. Better recovery, more power during your workout, and studies are now showing it's helping with the brain, which I need all the help I can get. So go to tastygains.com, use code COPVILLEOG for 20% off. This is the real deal, simple, easy, and we'll get that pump going so you look good for the ladies or men. Yo, here we are, another episode of Locked Up with Copville. Happy to be back. I got a really cool guest today, Mike Morgan. 30 years in law enforcement, worked up north, worked down south. He's got some really cool stories, and I'm really excited to have you on, Mike. Thanks for coming on, bud.
Thanks for having me, brother. I am honored and humbled to be on.
Awesome. They're gonna think we're related with these accents.
Exactly, man. Yankees taking over again.
You like the Yankees or the Mets?
I'm not a huge baseball fan, but if
Okay.
I had to pick one over the other, it'd be Yankees.
What about football?
Yeah, Mets guy, huh? Football Giants, straight up Giants.
Beautiful. Actually, the Madden rankings came out yesterday, and the Giants are the lowest rated team on Madden this year. So,
are they really?
Yeah, we got another long year ahead of us for.
I think that defense is going to surprise though. I don't know.
Defense is going to be good.
But, yeah, defense should be tight.
They waited too. I think Wilson wanted to come there before he went to Pittsburgh years ago, I believe, and even before Denver. And they waited too long to bring him in. Yeah, I was told he's a Jersey guy. Well, Russell Wilson's from somewhere up there. So.
Yeah. I remember he was from the north. I don't remember him ever being associated with the Giants though in the past.
No,
but,
there was one little story where he wanted to come home. I think it was before he signed the big deal with. He went to Seattle to Denver. I think it was right around then. And of course, we get another washed up. We don't have Daniel Jones anymore, so that's a bonus.
Oh my God, that's signing. He had like half a good season. These guys are throwing him 160 million. I'm like, am I a better judge of talent than these cats or what? What the fuck's going on?
They let Saquon Barkley go to keep Daniel Jones. Dude.
Oh my God, yeah.
The ultimate. And as much as I hate the Eagles, it was like, you're gonna suffer. Let's suffer all the way, and let's let the fucking Eagles win the Super Bowl the year the Giants make the worst decision in history. And let Saquon win it. So, all right. So you did 30 years. 30 years.
Yeah, 30 years. 29 he changed, so I rounded up to 30. But
wow,
30.
So you started up north, obviously.
No, I actually started down south. So I graduated from Hofstra University with an accounting degree, and started my career October '91. First day of work, I'm flat as could be, no excitement whatsoever. I'm taking a train into Manhattan. Get there. I worked for Avon Corporate at the time, and meet everyone. Given a task about 11 a.m. Next thing I know, I'm literally waking up, my head in my hand. And I'm like, I'm looking around. I said, there's no way I'm doing this shit for the next 30 years of my life. Went over to some cat that was really cool that I just met. I'm like, hey, bro, you like this? He's like, fuck no, I hate it. I'm like, no way am I sitting in the cubicle for the next 30, 35, not making a difference to anyone. No one but my close friends and family are going to know whether I lived or died. Yeah. And that was it. I decided I had to go deep introspective, kind of see what I would love to do in life. And it became law enforcement. That was the answer. FBI was who I wanted to apply with at the time, but they were on a federal hiring freeze until like 98. And buddy of mine's brother moved down to Atlanta in the recent past, told me how great it was. I'm like, you know what? I wanted to get out of New York anyway. Let me see something new. Moved down to Atlanta, got on with those guys, and it was nuts.
So I'm actually glad. See, I had it backwards. So you worked for Atlanta probably when it was still a real police department.
Yeah, right 93 to 03.
Okay, so now it's a social media fucking disaster. They got fucking people dancing on their recruit videos, and so you're working in Atlanta. You're working in Atlanta when shit's wild.
Oh yeah, this is the height of the crack epidemic.
Yeah, because
insanity.
Yes, because you got everybody pinned Miami as like the spot, and it transferred. The dope capital went from Miami up to Atlanta. It became like the new hub of like drug trafficking.
Still is.
Yeah, so you're like working in the middle of the crack epidemic was wild, man. For cops that never worked. I try to explain it to these guys like. Because the pill heads aren't any fun. The pill junkies are no fun. They're all down.
Yeah, no.
Fucking the meth addicts are a little okay, but There was nothing better than a fucking run in the house and steal the TV off their dad's nightstand fucking crackhead that chase around. Those dudes were fucking wild.
They were entertaining, man. I'll give them that. You know, the drug dealing portion was one thing, but the actual end users, man, I remember one time we were on a foot beat my first year, and there's three of us in the hood, and this prostitute comes walking up to us. And for those of you guys and girls who are still active, prostitutes are one of the best sources of information and intelligence. You know, just treat them with some respect.
And don't have sex with them.
They will, yeah, oh, please. Dude, I don't know what it was, man. It was,
yeah.
Some of these cats have that fetish, man. I'll never understand it, but it's a weird thing to me. But yeah, don't have sex with them, number one. Number two, great source of info.
Yeah.
So the chick walks up to us. We were talking to someone, and then she walks up to us, and she's got a fish in a styrofoam container. It's got the plastic wrap, and she must have just bought it. And for anyone that's worked in a hood, it's actually gone in the grocery store. First of all, I think it's almost inhumane what they serve these people from grocery stores. But they would have these fish, like these salted fish. And she's like, y'all want some? Like, nah, we're good, thanks. So we kind of turn our attention to the right. We're speaking to whoever we're speaking about to. And 2 minutes later, we turn to the left. This chick is literally, it was like a cartoon, man. She's pulling the vertebrae of the fish out. There was nothing left but the vertebrae. I'm like, holy shit, you just ate that whole thing? And she's like licking her fingers. It was the funniest thing. I'm like, crackhead, the best.
The best. And they used to sell bluegill sandwiches in the fucking hood store. It'd be a fucking bluegill. They'd do the same thing. They would just kind of gut it, smack between two pieces of bread. And I'm like, these mother. There was nothing. Again, there was nothing better than the common 2000s fucking crack mod. I called them crack mods. Just
yeah.
They had crack feet, those stinking ass fucking feet, no socks, dude. You pull their shoes off in booking, and it fucking just the fog of just stink came around. They haven't showered in like fucking 10 months, and it was just like
exactly. You can't tell me you and I that haven't lost like years of our life just sniffing that once.
God.
It's
and
insane.
the stories, the fact that I used to say Jesus could come down and stand face to face with a crackhead, they would lie to Jesus right to his fucking face. They would have no problem. Just no, I didn't do that. And you're like, are you fucking nuts? Like what just wildest time? I mean, that was my favorite run. I was in dope I worked narcotics from 06 to 12, and I was patrol. I started in 01, and that crack epidemic had just been, it was full blown. And that to me, if I could go back in time, I would go back and work 01 to about 08, 09. Just repeat that over and over and over again, man.
Yeah, exactly.
It was just the coolest, wildest time to be a cop, in my opinion. So
yeah, nowadays guys don't understand, guys or girls now. I mean, everything's changed since there's been a seismic shift, but it's incomparable.
Yes, yeah.
To what's going on now?
So you're working. So I imagine you guys just the same shit. You're walking the beat, but you're seeing deals go down, dudes running away, white dudes coming through trying to buy crack. It must be like nonstop chaos in a city like Atlanta.
Yeah, it was insane. We had the prisoner van that they would let us drive. So we'd one guy would drive, and we'd have like 6 of us in the back, and we'd jump out. And it's so funny because the dope game is like just one upping. So originally, when they start dealing, it's on that person. Then they start putting it in their underwear, ass packs, we'd call them. Then they would start making holes in the ground, and they would keep it over there or in a tree trunk. But at first, 93-ish, they would still have it on them. So we jump out, and bam, they didn't get that sophisticated yet. So the guys that were running were the guys that actually had it on them. Eventually, what they would do is just set decoys. So the 2 or 3 that ran would be the guys that didn't have the dope on them. The few guys that stood there, we would take off. They would just walk away and have it on them. So until we, got hip to that. It's so fun. It's just a cat and mouse game.
Yeah, in my opinion, and that's what I don't care what anybody says. To me, that was where we developed that, I believe, a generation of cops that were with the rise of technology and the rise of everything else. I believe that generation of cops were some of the best cops to ever live, because the old days, they were way behind the times. They didn't have technology. And then now everybody's got technology, but the cops they're too scared to get out of their car. They don't do shit. That run that we had from like 01 to about 13, 12, that run you're talking a little earlier, I wasn't there for that part, but that's where we developed the ability to train like 2 or 3 generations after us. And then you saw the change go with power DMS and learning in your car and learning through videos, where the learning was on the ground. I remember my FTO picked me up day one. I worked the hood. He dropped me off at a fucking gas station where there wasn't a white dude within a fucking 10 miles. and said, you're going to go get 5 names, date of birth, and social security numbers from those dudes over there, and you're not getting back in the car until you do. And I'm like,
yep.
The first guy I walked up to, he's like, you green pussy motherfucker, what get the fuck out of here. I'm like, oh, motherfucker. Like, it was like that was it. Like, that was how you learned. And then you started to learn to be savvy. You learned the lingo. You learned which guys you could lean on. And then you learned the guy that would go, give you a little nod, like, meet me over here in a little bit. And he would tell you the information. And then you start developing all that. And then once you develop, like you said, prostitutes, or I call them street urchins, your black dude that if you gave him $2 for a fucking 40, that motherfucker was loyal to you to the day you died.
Hell yeah.
So
yeah.
I used to keep like $20 in ones on my visor. And sometimes they'd be like, no, don't hand it to me. So I'd turn the corner and just throw it out the window. And that dude would walk around the corner, pick it up. And if I needed to know where a stolen car was, if I needed to know where a warrant was, if I needed to know who was holding the dope at the corner, for $2, $3, $4, those dudes would take down an entire organization
at that point, man.
Yeah.
And my best, man?
Yeah. My best informants came from those type of deals, you're not going to find a kilo, day one. Your informants get you started with 10 piece, 20 piece, and then it leads to a guy moving an ounce, and then you just keep rolling. And that gift of gab, I can tell you got immediately talking to you. That's where I talk about old school cops. Immediately, within 5 seconds of us tuning in before the show started, I go, this guy was a cop. Like, I can tell immediately. You got,
no doubt.
Yeah.
Real recognizes real.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's simple to go, this is the guy. Like, I want to work with this guy. So how long you spent in Atlanta?
So it was 10 years, 93 to 03. And then it's funny. I just wanted to check with a quick story. We're talking about
absolutely.
developing sources.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree with you 100% as far as developing intuition and your street skills. It's like anything else, man. It's just like developing muscles. Like you are developing yourself as a cop. There's so many things to learn. I should tell my rookies when I was training, I'm like, when you get out of the car, you see this. When I get out of the car, I see this. I can't even put my hands there, but 270 degrees of, I could just tell what's going on, who's doing what. But I remember specifically when the Olympics were going on in '96, my beat actually had the Olympic Stadium inside it. So I was getting killed with car break-ins. I mean, killed. And I go up to one of the scalpers, and I never messed with those guys. I was always friendly with them. I'm like, hey, brother. I go, I never fuck with you guys, right? He's like, no, New York, you're cool. Shocking where I got my nickname from. But I was like, I need your help. And I'm getting destroyed with car break-ins, man. I go, here's my card. It's got my cell phone on it. You see anyone, call me up. I need to get this problem solved. And if I don't, I'm telling you now, they're going to have me start coming down on you guys, man. And like, yeah, you're straight. Don't worry about it. Next day, boom, phone rings. He's like, hey, New York, I got 2 in the car right now. Cool. Go snatch them up. They both had burglar tools. So I got them for entering an auto, which is a felony in Georgia, and then possession of burglar's tools. And that was great. So that stopped immediately. But about a week or two later, shooting call right there across the street from the Olympic Stadium. Everyone shows up, man. Chief was there, everyone. And as it's going on, one of the scalpers just kind of just what you said before. He gives me the head nod. I go over. I'm like, what's up, bro? He's like, yo, New York. He's like, that boy that you arrested last week for the car break-ins shot that guy. I'm like, really? Which one? He tells me, go over there, ring the doorbell. Mom answers. Hey, where's Tay-Tay? He's like, he's in his bedroom. Like, tell him to come out now. And there was like probably 50 of us at the time. Air units up. I mean, everyone was there. He comes out. I'm like, yo, put your hands behind your back. I'm like, where's the gun? Don't tell me it ain't there. He's like, it's under my bed. Bam. Have Sergeant go in, snatch the gun up. Done. 1, 2, 3. Chief of the department was right there to see it too. I was like, yeah.
And that's where it comes from. And that to me is what. And I won't fault the cops these days all the way, because the time changed. But
yeah,
that's what solved crime back then. You had street guys, street creds. You had to build a relationship with those guys, and corner store dudes, informants. The white dudes were kind of sketchy because they would tell you the fucking sky's green to get a piece of crack or just to get away that day. So you had to find, to me, it was finding a reliable black dude in the hood that you knew, and really all is cutthroat. They're just going to turn their opposition in, or somebody they don't like in, but it leads to what you just talked about. Like eventually, and I would always test them. My way of testing them was I would know there was a guy with a warrant, or I would know the guy's already in jail. And I'd pull up and I'd be like, hey man, you seen so-and-so? And they're like, yeah, he was just down here. I'm like, I look at him, drive away. That motherfucker's been in jail for 3 months. Like, no, he's not over there. So I would do my little testers and see which guys were like, but I've been out since, it'll be a year in October since I left, and September, and I still get calls. Still get calls. Hey, Mike, Dilk. And I'm like, bro, I'm done. Like, I'm done. If it can help, if it can help, I'll send it to my wife. I'll be like, hey, call this dude. He's got info, or call this chick. She's got info. But that is people that I've been talking to for upwards of 20 years that maintained a relationship, stayed cool with them, stayed loyal to them. They stayed loyal to me. And we just built that rapport. And that type of policing is gone. And I think one of the reasons is discretion is gone. Discretion's gone.
Yeah.
Body cams are great, but body cams kill discretion, where you can let a guy go with this, let a guy go with that. Hey man, your driver's license suspended. We don't even take off. Go turn right. I'll turn left. Like the whole little cat and mouse game, where that led to, okay, I got a DL, big fucking deal. I'm gonna take a guy to jail for driver's license, or that guy solves a fucking homicide next week, like you said, for over a driver's license, where you let him go. And these guys have lost the ability to really have discretion because of administration and body cams and state attorneys and shit. And it really sucks for them.
100%. Totally agree with you. But the fact that you're still getting calls from guys, shows me that you were a great cop. Because listen, everything in life is based on relationships. Any business, your business now, everything's relationship based, including policing. If you go in there with that hardcore, I'm the man, you guys are gonna bow down to me, you're not getting shit.
Nope.
Show me a guy that sits there. I remember I had gone to a unit in Suffolk County, and they put up stats for a month, and this guy had 30 marijuana possession arrests. So I go to my sergeant. I'm like, "Can you turn any of these into CIs?" He's like, "Nope." I'm like, "These are what you guys want?" He's like, "That's not what I want." Because I had one where this guy was selling weed in a park, and I'm talking to him, and I ended up flipping him. And we find the first case of gelatinous MDMA in Suffolk County. This is probably going back like 2010ish or something like that. It's a while ago. But that to me is policing. Anyone can arrest someone, put cuffs on them. Big deal. You walk up to a car, it smells like weed. Okay, let me search your car. I'm going to find a Don bag. You're going, wow, fantastic job, brother. You really made a difference.
and like I used to poke at the DUI guys, but DUIs are obviously important. Even though I joke around about it and I make some memes about DUIs, they're important. But when you get down to marijuana possession, fuck that. Or you get down to a crack pipe or a fucking needle, like, bro, like we're going to flood the jail with paraphernalia. The benefit of that person, they're going to do drugs regardless. They're going to get back out and do it again. You're not going to rehabilitate somebody for a needle or a paraphernalia arrest. So I used to use those, if they right. That would be a flip arrest. And back in my day, I'm sure you did too, we could even flip like crack arrest. I would catch them with crack. I would do a bullshit report that would basically said, on this date and time, I conducted a drug investigation, supplement to follow. Put no information in the report, put the dope in evidence. Then I would write a supplement and put it on my laptop. So if the dude stiffed me, I had enough to go get a warrant on him and do the drug possession charge. And then it was kind of like I guess it was like a legalized game of blackmail at that point. It was like, hey, bro, how much you gonna do for me? And then this one over here goes away. Now that takes a level of integrity, because you can't, just like sleeping with the prostitutes, you can't hold a fucking crack arrest over a dude for 10 years and you can't make his life miserable. There's got to be like a real integrity moment where you go, hey man, that was 2. Don't worry about that drug charge. You got me 2 bodies bigger than you. You're good. That case is unfounded and we're starting fresh. I catch you next week. We're back on the hook again. But that type of cat and mouse, integrity-based informant game, to me, is what separated the really good cops from just your average cop.
Yeah, 100%. It's funny you said that, because I remember in Atlanta. So let me go. I'm in Suffolk County at the time, and I was on an anti-crime squad. And we get this guy. He's at a payphone, and me and my buddy cruising around. I'm like, "Yo, man, that's weird." He's like, "What's up?" I'm like, "He's on a payphone, bro. Everyone in America's got a cell phone.
Yeah.
What's up with that?" So we actually just pop out, like, "What's up, brother? What's going on?" He's talking to us. Gets in his car. Fatal mistake. So he's behind the wheel. Cars are in there. He's in physical control of the car, and starts talking to us. And he's drunk. So or very close to it. And he's got 5 DWs on his record already. So I'm like, "Where you going, man? And don't bullshit me." He's like, you can see him hemming and hawing. He's like, "I was going to buy crack." I'm like, "How much?" He's like, 250. I'm like, "All right." I'm like, "Here's your choice, man. You either go pick it up right now, or you going for the DV. What do you want?" He's like, "I'll go pick it up." So bam, I go in the car with him. I roll up. I wanted to just snatch a dealer out of his house. My partner's like, "Nah, we can't do that." I'm like, "Why not, bro?" I was pretty aggressive. And
admin doesn't always like that. I did it before too, but that's a hard one to explain sometimes.
Yeah. So I see the guy, see where we are. I get the location. We go back. We meet up with narco guys, tell them what's going on. And the guy's like, "You did what?" And I'm like, "Oh, what's up?" He's like, "Whoa, bro." Now, I want to contrast that with Atlanta back in the day. We get someone, say we get them with a hit. But like, hey man, you want to make a buy for us, or you going? So they make a buy. We just give money. Didn't have to, we didn't throw it on a copy machine or anything to copy the serial numbers or anything. It was unbelievable, like how lax it was. So we get the hit, we bring them back, evidence everything. We type up our own affidavit for the search warrant, and we'd be granted it. Forget it now, and you're not doing that anywhere. I mean, there's so many levels of supervision, and they're so hypersensitive because so many guys have done so many screwed up things. But it's amazing how you used to get away with. And weren't doing anything wrong.
No,
Just there was so much more leniency.
it was a different world. It was a different,
Yeah,
completely. I did the same
literally.
thing. I remember going on. They would say we would get the stupid. I'm sure you guys got them. Drugged house tips. Oh, we got a complaint in the neighborhood. So I remember one day, me and my partner we got badges on our hip, gun in our pocket. Look like white dude cops. We're not trying to sneak around. We're just walking the neighborhood. Turn a corner and the dude walks out and he's like, "Hey man, what do you need?" And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "What do you got? What do you need?" And I'm like, "Give me 40." And he's like, starts reaching in his pocket, and I'm like, "You fucking guy serious?" And I went to arrest him. It's like, yeah, and I'm like, so we make the arrest, and then I remember coming back to the station, and the sergeant's like, "Well, what do you mean you made an arrest?" I'm like, "Well, we went to do the knock and talk and like stuff you asked us to do, and the dude tried to sell his crap because you're supposed to do an ops plan and have some type of plan together." But
Yeah.
It just happened. And then I had another one where I pulled up I was in a unmarked. We had rental contract with Enterprise, and I had a convertible Mustang with all my stuff in the car. On my passenger seat was my rifle, all my stuff. I pull up, dude does the same thing. Leans in my window. He's like, "What do you need?" And I'm like, "Is this guy fucking serious?" So I said 20. I see him pull it out. I get out, fucking punches me right in the mouth. As soon as he realizes I'm a cop, he punches me right in the mouth. We end up running down the street. He gets bit by a dog. Like my door's open. My car's parked at the corner of the hood, door open, rifle on the seat. Just wild shit that now you'd probably get fired or indicted for. But
Yeah.
that was what we did. Like we didn't do it. Like you said, it wasn't illegal. It probably wasn't safe, and it probably wasn't tactical it wasn't close to tactical as it should have been. But it was like that gray area. We're just living what do they say? Guys just living the dream, man. We're just
Exactly.
living in the moment, man. Like it got the job done, and it was like, but I probably could have been killed about 50 times if shit would have went sideways. But we got there, and I think it got safer. It got safer, and the rules got stricter. I give them that, but we lost a lot of that edge of just in the moment, like keep rolling. Why get one guy if we can flip him? The drug guys now, you got to call them. They got to get out of lunch. They got to get out of the gym. They got, oh man, it's Friday. I'm getting off at 2:00. Like all that bullshit. Yep. I didn't live that life when I was in dope. You called me at 3 a.m. We were going.
Yeah. And if you don't hand it to them on a silver platter, man, they want nothing to do with it.
No.
Like, well, I have to work for this.
Yeah, it's
mind-boggling.
It's a different, and that's what I say about training and everything. Everything in this law enforcement has shifted to that. Just it's not the same. It's not the same.
No.
The FTOs are too far removed from my, like I said, hands-on to computer learning, and it's a different ball game.
Have no time on either.
No.
Kids are training kids, and no one's got any experience. Actually, I didn't want to be an FTO. My lieutenant was asking me for years. I'm like, Lou, I don't want to bother with it. And it's probably selfish of me. I should have been. I had this knowledge. Not that I'm great. I just happen to be, start off at a crazy place, and I have all this knowledge. I was not many. I'm not good at many things in life, but I'm definitely a good cop. And finally, they had this class of 2 guys in particular that went to become FTOs. And I went right to my lieutenant's desk office. I'm like, this is not right. They should not be training anyone. I'm like, put me in FTO school, and that just started it.
I didn't become an FTO till year like 15 or 16, and then I got promoted finally like year 18. I was in the same boat. Like I didn't take the promotional. I didn't care. Like I was a younger cocky. I'm not gonna lie. I'm very transparent. I was a very cocky dope cop. I was the guy. Smaller town. Everybody knew me. But then as I matured and grew up, I said, I can pass this on to kind of like you felt. I can pass this now on to guys. So I finally went to FTO, back to patrol after a couple stints in the DB, and started saying, how do I transfer this? Now there's no fucking way. I don't care what PowerPoint or what level of teaching. I don't think I could teach these kids today that are 21, 22, 23 how to be a cop. I think it's a very small percentage that actually have it.
Exactly. Well, think about how they're raised. They're in their phone 24/7. There's no social skills. Yep. None of them have ever been in fights. It's rare that I would ask them all, do you have any experience fighting? No. Okay, it's not an embarrassment at this point, but if you do nothing about it from this point on, it is. And I'm like, think about it. You have your life in your hands. You have a family to go home to.
Yeah.
Potentially have my life in your hands. I don't understand how these guys. I always trained. I wasn't that good of a fighter before I became a cop, and I happened to be training with a guy for a few years before. And I remember watching Rodney King, and I'm like, I don't think these guys are racist. I think that they're afraid to put hands on this guy,
But
and
there
they
wasn't no
never
such
wanted to
thing. They
make.
never taught you that. They didn't
Yeah,
teach you that.
exactly. No, it's such a quick thing of defensive block instruction. No one, you don't have time. They don't have time to teach you. You don't have time to learn. There's no time for repetition. It is literally the minimum to get you out of there. And at that point, you know nothing. So, you know what? Shame on you if you don't take it upon yourself to go learn. Because one thing I said I never wanted to do was make a fear based decision. And I can honestly say, in 30 years, man, I never, not to say I never got scared, but I never made a fear based decisions. I've been shot at. Always did after action reports on anything that happened to see how my tactics work, how you can improve. But dude, I never, and you will never, people may talk shit about me, but you will never find anyone. I think if you said, if the shit was going down, it was life or death, would you want me next to you? I don't
Yeah.
think you'd find anyone that would say no. And
Yeah.
that's what I'm most proud of.
Yeah.
That's what
They can say a lot of shit about me too. And I'm pretty confident that I've seen it, but everybody they would want me at the call, regardless of
Yep,
how they feel about me, or
exactly.
I did steroids or all that bullshit. They get whatever. I think you still want me at the scene.
Yep.
I didn't get real crazy tactical till later. I didn't make SWAT till I was 42 and got into that stuff and started really shooting and training. But I made a lot of common sense decisions as far as, with use of force and not using force and what to do. And some of it was luck. I always say it, like we're all lucky. But
Oh yeah.
I
Well,
think if you consistently do things a certain way and the right way, and you have your integrity and you have your skill set, you're going to continue to kind of lean on that side. But if you're always reckless and wild and crazy, you're obviously like the lottery. You're just eventually you're going to win. It's going to be
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know who's gonna get called.
the wrong end of it. And I don't, like you said, I don't think anybody, and why here's what blows my mind with what we know now and what we see now on the internet. The asp is useless. Pepper spray is useless. We should be teaching grappling, jujitsu, or some type of ground fighting in the academy
Yep.
day one. And they should run that all the way through. It should not be a block. They should run that all the way through the academy. If it's 4 months, 6 months, whatever it is, they should be ground fighting, grappling, and learning some type of skill like that the whole way. 2 weeks is
100%.
not enough. 2 weeks is not enough. 3 weeks is not
Nothing.
enough.
Yeah.
And the stick, get back, that's garbage. It's never worked. It's never worked. It never will. The best thing for that was, like, I remember back in the cops days, they would jam it in the mouth and they were eating crack. They would stick the asp in the mouth so they couldn't chew anymore. There's some minor applications for pepper spray. Just gets everybody all fucked up. It's a disaster.
Yeah.
And they're still doing it in the academy. And I guess but these agencies, why aren't we teaching grappling, ground fighting from the day they start the academy to the day they finish? Why are we marching? Why are we still marching in the fucking police academy?
Exactly.
Why are we marching around?
Yeah.
Fucking
exactly.
get them on the ground. Get them in a mat room. Get them fighting that way. And I don't know. I just I don't understand.
I guess they don't want them hurt,
up.
because there's always a chance of injury. But you know what? That's reality. Look at how much you're preventing by teaching these guys and girls. Or it should be mandatory afterwards that you guys attend for a year, once a week.
Yeah.
Maybe given by most agencies have guys that are very proficient in different martial arts. So I'm sure you could find, especially now, jitsu guys in every department that can train.
We have it. We have it. And I think like less than 10% of the agency uses it. We have a 6-degree black belt world champion under Carlson Gracie, Renato Tavares, that teaches cops for free. And you go and there's like 4 of them in the class, and we have 400 deputies. It just doesn't make sense to me that people don't take advantage of that. And you're right about the injury. My injury argument is just like athletes. That's like, athletes train year round. They blow their knee out in off season. They get hurt. They do it, but they don't stop training just because there's a possibility of getting hurt. And what usually happens is, like in our agency, I think we had 2 pretty significant injuries when they brought the jiu-jitsu in pretty heavy. That's because those people never did a fucking thing. Like, they never been involved in that. So it's like, I get it. You're going to have injuries, but if you start that out consistently, those injuries are going to go away because people are going to learn it and then retain it and know what to do. Usually the injuries are from doing something stupid or muscling in a situation where you shouldn't muscle, or overdoing it, overexerting power. But if you start training in the academy, I don't understand in 2025 with you. What is every Instagram video is some fucking cops getting worked on the street.
Oh man.
New York PD, NYPD is constantly on there. Just can't get a guy in custody. I saw one the other day and I'm pretty hard on female cops, but I saw one the other day. BJJ cops posted, and like the girl is just watching her partner fight, and it's like, what is going on?
That's mind-boggling to me. We had an incident in Suffolk County where two guys were fighting, and it was a third cop male sitting in his car. The additional perps were actually slamming on his car to call him a pussy, get out. And after that, someone put in coward in his folder. He had the balls to go to the lieutenant and complain, and the lieutenant started calling people in, and he thought may have been responsible. I was talking to my PBA trustee. So we have 5 delegates in the precinct, and then the PBA trustee is the head of the PBA guys in each precinct. And I'm like, Damien, I'm telling you right now, if that was me, if I was one of these two guys and he was sitting in a car, I would go to internal and file a cowardice complaint against him the next day. He's like, whoa, why would you do that? Man, he'd be ruining his career. I'm like, brother, just so we're not missing each other here, I want him to be fired.
Yeah.
I go, if one of these two got killed, how would you feel about going to tell one of their wives that they got killed because this pussy didn't get out of his car? If you have to take the beating, then you take the beating, man. But you're potentially saving this guy's life. He sat in the car, bro.
And that's where that's where the unions are backwards. Like, and that's and unfortunately, and the unions are really big up north and powerful. They're nothing down here in Florida.
Oh yeah.
But that's where the union protects a piece of shit. And it's unfortunate because the union's really designed to protect the good guy. But you get a piece of shit like that, and then the union protects them, and it's like it like the military, I would consider the police elite. It's an elite. They don't perform elite, but it should be an elite job. Yeah. So like the military, when you go to an elite unit of the military, like the Rangers and all, you can be peered out. Like your peers can go, this guy's not one of us. He's not a Ranger. He's not a team player. He's not physically, he's not taking this serious. And I always say that. And then the argument is like, oh, well then who's going to work the job? I mean, we're at that crossroad now, man. We're really at that crossroad where are we going to continue to pump fat, sloppy pussies into this job because you need a day off and there needs to be bodies? Or are we going to take a hard stand one of these days and go, we can't sustain this type of law enforcement in this country if we continue to do that? We have to like reset it and start putting, I always say it, make cops tough again. We have to start making cops tough again, or we're going to lose all of it. Like it's going to go away, and we're going to lose cities, and we're going to lose this country if we don't make a change to make cops tough again.
That's society as a whole. So how are we going to change it when everything else is going that way? It's not like there's been this massive shift and it's coming back.
I know.
We're just getting weaker and weaker. And the amount of people that, don't think that you need laws and discipline is mind-boggling to me. And it's usually the weakest people of all who are the first to raise their hand to ask for help or call 911. But they're the ones that are out there being the most vocal about, defunding us and we're not needed, this and that. It's amazing to me.
And people hate, people say that, people don't like the president, and there's things he says that are wild, but his mentality, in my opinion, is what, it doesn't have to always be said that way, maybe, but his mentality on like, it's a very common sense mentality. Like you look at things and go, this is fucking stupid. Like, why are we doing this? Why are we letting soft people be cops? Why are we not training? Why are we letting bad guys dictate our tactics? Why are we letting criminals walk all over us? It just doesn't make sense. And that's where it's like, and unfortunately, it's just obvious. You look at the map and go, blue city, disaster, blue city, disaster.
Oh yeah.
It's not even like, it's like we were talking about COVID before. Like it's not even a secret. They just right in front of us, they go like Chicago. I saw the fucking Chicago superintendent and mayor on TV the other day after that mass fucking shooting where I saw some videos. It was a horrific scene. And they're on there, we're one Chicago. We care about, you don't give a fuck about those people.
Exactly.
You let the fucking criminals dominate that city. You fucking vilify the police every step of the way. And then you're on TV saying that you're one Chicago and you want help. No, you do not.
Yep. Just like when one of us gets killed in the line of duty, and these clowns want to be, first and foremost at the front of the line for the funeral procession and everything else. They want to get in front of the microphones and talk about what you just said. No, man, you don't give a fuck about us until it's, we can give you a talking point on the 6 o'clock news. Then all of a sudden it's an embarrassment.
It is,
frankly.
I watched that one in Chicago, and I just, it makes me sick. it makes me sick because I have I have a ton of followers from Chicago that talk to me all the time about all the bullshit in politics. They can't even run after people anymore. They can't get foot pursuits anymore.
Really?
No.
Foot
Because
pursuits.
they shot too many people in foot pursuits because the fucking pieces of shit had guns. So they're going, well, if we don't chase anybody, they won't shoot. They won't have a gun. We won't catch them with a gun. We won't have to shoot them. So they've like diverted from foot pursuits in Chicago. So you have a city where lawlessness thrives and crime thrives. And then you have the balls to get on TV. We're going to hold people accountable. We're going to catch these bad guys. No, you can walk around in Chicago with a fucking rifle and just mow people down. Nobody's going to do anything. No, the cops, the hands are tied to the cops. They've hired so many pussies now. It's all about fucking bullshit and gay parades and all this fucking bullshit with LGBT and all that garbage. Like, that's all they care about. And when one of these incidents happen, they get on TV, they rant and rave about it for 10 minutes. They say their little hit piece and they make a press conference and off they go. And it's
exactly.
Over. It goes right back to it. Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
That's what it's come down to.
Yeah. It's a fucking
Can't tell me it's not a conspiracy, man.
Oh,
just to weaken the country as a whole.
Yep. So I'm gonna get a little serious right here. I read your bio and I understand why you kind of you had a traumatic incident, and I want you to PTSD is a real thing. I didn't always think it was, and until I had a incident that was actually not law enforcement related but a personal issue, I didn't realize it was a real thing. But everybody's PTSD is different. It hits everybody different, and I think it's very important. They don't look at a guy like you and think this guy's got some type of PTSD. You're a big tough guy. You got the New York accent. This guy's probably, eats bullets for breakfast and all that stuff. But all of us have some level of PTSD. So I know you had a call, and then you saw something on the internet that changed your life, and I'd like you to tell everybody about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And let me preface this by saying that our mutual friend, Jimmy Watson, former SEAL, who's been on my podcast as well, he and I were speaking about PTSD specifically, and we both incorrectly thought that you were weak if you suffer from PTSD earlier in our careers.
We were told that. We were all told that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. When we were young, the term was called shell shocked. So you would hear about guys in Vietnam. For the most part, really World War II wasn't applicable to us, but you would see guys or hear about them, never came back the same. They were shell shocked.
Mm-hmm.
Ends up, it's now called PTSD. But in my career, when I would hear about guys with PTSD, I'm like, man, he's just, weak-minded individual.
Yeah.
And I had another misconception about PTSD where I only thought that it was caused by seeing your brother or sister next to you get murdered or killed, or, some tragedy befall them. So mine was different, and I'll go into it here. So I blew out my back in September of 20 on the job, and went 6 months, tried to do conservative treatments. I had my first back surgery April of 21. That was followed by my second back surgery, a fusion, in April of 22. And I was then medically retired in October of 22. So for those 2 years, and then tack on a third, because I had to go through a workers' comp case, I wasn't allowed to work, wasn't allowed to volunteer, wasn't allowed to go to the gym. They have a unit that follows you, videotapes you, guys that are out long-term, line of duty injury. So if you're getting into your car too smoothly, they'll present it or try to present it as evidence showing, like, see, this guy's not hurt. So I built a gym in my house. I was able to train, but for the most part, I had no purpose. And now I have time to think. And I'll tell you, when they say idle hands is the devil's workshop, man, it's the truth. So I started getting these feelings of depression, anger, just general unhappiness. And I was not able to really pinpoint the origination of them. And I just knew I wasn't myself. I talked to my wife about it, and I just couldn't get out of it. Like, I'd wake up feeling great and have this negative thought, and then just get into the cycle for the rest of the day where I was in a bad mood or depressed. It's a vicious cycle. And then suddenly, spring of 23, I sat down and watched a Shawn Ryan podcast, and he was interviewing a man named Eddie Penney. He's a former Navy SEAL Team 6 guy.
Mm-hmm.
And Eddie was recounting the story of the Extortion 17 incident in which a Chinook was shot down in Afghanistan. All 38 people aboard were killed, including 17 SEALs. It was their biggest loss of community in one day ever. And Eddie is recounting escorting his best friend Jason Workman's body back to his hometown. And as he's telling the story, he's visibly upset, crying. I simultaneously began to think about a call that I had 5 years before about a 2-year-old found floating at a pool. This beautiful girl named Dana Sikorsky. And I buried that shit deeply. It was my one call in my 30-year career where I actually started crying. we got there, myself and a guy named Billy Steele, who's another cop in Nassau County, fire chief at the place where we were, within the confines of. We resuscitated her, handed her off to paramedics. They took off with her parents, took her to the hospital. It was touch and go for a while, but she's been making miraculous progress over the past few years, thank God. And I had to sit at that house for the next 3 hours while detectives came out, crime scene came out. We pretty much thought she was going to pass, so it had to be investigated in case there was any negligence. During the course of those 3 hours, her grandparents had remained there, and they were in charge of watching. It was a family party, and they were in charge of watching the kids. All the kids had gone back inside. Dana somehow figured out some little access door that no one knew that she knew where it was, number one, nor did they ever figure that she could open it up. She somehow accessed that door, came back outside, and no one knows how long she was in the pool, but she was found floating in the pool. So, brother, the visceral screams from her grandparents for those 3 hours still like this day gets me, man.
Yeah.
Fuck me up. I
Yeah.
mean, I've never felt like this in my career, man. I was crawling out of my skin. And I started tearing up, and I went to go behind that pool to cry, and it would have been the best thing I could have done. But I'm like, you fucking pussy, you can't cry.
Yeah.
And just stop myself, man. And all I wanted to do was be anywhere other than that house. And I remember the next day at the department, I'll give him this. They sent the chaplain out to the precinct to speak to me. And I was talking to him, and I'm like, Father, I just don't understand. You know, at that point, it was if she survives, she's going to be in a vegetative state. So I'm like, she was dead. Why did God let us resuscitate her? I'll never understand that. And he's like, well, Mike, think about it this way. If she does pass, you're giving her time to grieve with her family. And if she does, it's nothing that you have any input on. I'm like, I understand that. But, frankly, I'm like, I'm angry at God for letting her live if this is going to be her quality of life. And there was so many dynamics into that because I started feeling guilty about saving her, which would have done the same thing 1,000 times over. But then I started feeling guilty about having guilt about saving this kid. And it was just like one thing on top of the other, bro. And finally, I couldn't deal with it, man. I just buried it. I tried not to think about it. And unfortunately, I had two crackheads that lived across the street. She ended up surviving. Her family was so gracious and loving. They were so happy to have her back in any condition. And they befriended a lot of guys in the fire department, and they kept asking me to come back. They wanted me to see her. So finally, these two crackheads across the street would call all the time. And every time the address came up, I'd be like, motherfucker.
No.
I'm like, please don't have Mr. Sikorsky come out and ask me to come in the house. So
Yeah.
finally, I go there one day and I see him, and he was just gracious and as nice as could be. He's like, Mike, I'd love for you to come in and see Dana. So I walk in the house, and at the time, she wasn't doing too well. She had a nurse. She was in a hospital bed, and she couldn't even track you when you walked in the house. It wasn't like she looked at you. And again, man, I'm in the room and I start tearing up, and there's radio traffic on my mic. And I pretended like it was a call for me. I'm like, 220 copy. And I'm like, guys, I got to go. And I just split. I'm like, I can never go in there again. And so back to this podcast that I'm watching. I now know that the fact that I'm watching this warrior cry let me know subconsciously it was okay for me to do so.
Mhm.
And that's when I lost it, because I was not a guy that showed emotion, man. I grew up with a very verbally abusive dad, and I calloused up from a young age not to feel that pain. Bring it into this warrior culture, and it serves me well, man.
Yeah.
You can't absorb all that pain. So what do you do, man? You just compartmentalize it. Don't fucking deal with it, man. You just bury that, go on to the next thing. And I was a master until I wasn't. And as I'm crying, man. And it's funny that my first reaction is I look at my house to make sure my wife hadn't gotten home from food shopping because I was so embarrassed to be crying.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, my wife's a life coach. She's the best. She would have encouraged me to get it out.
Doesn't matter though. When you're tough like that, you think you have to stay it all the way.
Yep, exactly. We have this fallacy that not showing emotion is strength, when in fact it's the polar opposite. Feeling and showing emotion takes strength. But I was not at that point yet. And it was almost like a snap of fingers. I'm like, man, I think I have some sort of PTSD.
Yeah.
And now, in spending so much time going through my emotions, I realized that my PTSD was caused by being inside the most deeply intimate moments of other people's lives. Delivering a death notification, going there for a suicide, homicide, even a DOA, a natural DOA, man. Their life just changed because they lost that loved one. And you see great people suffering carnage, and it breaks your heart.
Yeah.
But you can't acknowledge it, man. And you can't talk to anyone about it because, again, it's showing weakness.
Yep.
And when, in fact, what I'm telling you guys is you can talk to people. This is what I felt at the time. You should be talking to people. You should be processing it out. Um, and that was it. I'm like, you know what, man? I am not living with this shit the rest of my life. I'm not going to be the sour guy that hates everything and everyone. I knew I needed help. I didn't think any traditional counselor or therapist was going to do it. I'm going to be talking to some dude or chick behind a desk that's never done or seen anything that we've done or seen. How are they going to help me? And prior to, and then furthermore, after that, I had been seeing these special force operators on Shawn Ryan and other podcasts talking about coming back from war, broken men, and they're using these psychedelic therapies to heal.
Yep. Yep.
At first, I was pessimistic about it, but after this, I really started paying attention. I'm like, you know what, man? Who am I? These are some of the strongest men in the world, fortitude-wise, mentally fortitude, and they're coming back broken. So who am I to fucking poo-poo what these guys are doing to heal themselves? And I really just felt this calling to ayahuasca. And my wife and I moved down to Florida in December 23. She had done some research and found a center. It no longer exists, but it was called Soul Quest Ayahuasca Church in Orlando. And March 1st of 2024, we went, sat for a 3-ceremony weekend. So it was Friday night, Saturday night. Ostensibly, after that first journey on Friday night, my life was changed forever. And it's hard to explain for people that have been through it, but I was essentially having conversations with the universe. The universe was talking to me. And I'm no soy boy, hippie. I think as alpha male as they come. So when I talk about this, people like kind of look at me sideways. I understand that, but it's one of the greatest miracles I've ever experienced in my life. And furthermore, I had 2 coworkers that committed suicide 3 weeks before that. One sergeant had killed himself in a precinct locker room. And as I'm coming out of it, the universe told me, you're healed. It's not linear, you still kind of ebb and flow, but essentially you're healed from PTSD. Your life's pursuit is to go forth and help other vets and first responders. And I said out loud, okay, wasn't sure how I was going to implement it, but I accepted. And that kind of became my life's pursuit at that point. But it's funny because I talk about to a lot of guys and girls now. I was talking to one Green Beret in particular at a vets and first responders retreat, and I'm like, Larry, he was on 11 medications at one time before he drank ayahuasca. He's on nothing now. But I'm like, isn't it funny that there's no stigma for these guys putting you on 11 medications? If you were to talk to someone right now and say you're on 11 medications, most people aren't going to bat an eye. But God forbid you tell them that you healed and did ayahuasca, they're going to look at you like you're out of your mind. Meanwhile, they've been around thousands of years. There's no processing. It comes out of the earth. Ayahuasca is 2 vines that are boiled together, psilocybin's mushrooms that come out of the ground, essentially. But you tell people this because we've been brainwashed by Big Pharma to believe that's the only way. Big Pharma to this day has an active role in kind of telling everyone that these things are bad.
And I know that's a popular. So I've done ketamine. Through my PTSD, I've done several ketamine treatments. So similar, I'm sure. When you describe talking to the universe, I definitely talk to the universe as well. And I think for guys that are struggling, that deep struggle, I think you're right. Those type of psychedelics and that alternate medicine is probably the answer, because no matter how many times I talk to people, it doesn't really give you an out of, like, it helps a little bit, but like it comes back. When I did the ketamine, it kind of brought me to a place and it's probably very similar. When you come out of that ketamine treatment, you're basically baseline 0 of stress, and you can actually feel what it's like for a while to go, man, I'm not worried about anything. Like, the bills don't matter. Like, nothing matters. Can I stay here? And that was like, and then you have some counseling to follow it. And it's like, that's the process, is training your brain to go, I can be okay. Like, I can be, I'm sure very similar. You feel like I'm okay. Like, I know there's an okay feeling that I don't have to feel all that stuff in my head, and I can feel like this.
I was happy again.
Yeah. I mean, and I think it's very important. I'm locally here. Emerald Medical is one of the guys on our network. He does a dose adjustment. Chris Hasenauer does dose adjustment podcast on counterculture, and they're into ketamine treatments, and they offer it for vets. They're doing programs where they're taking like a mobile home and they're going to like vet events, and they're sponsoring people to come do it for free so they can get the treatment and the counseling together. So it's definitely an alternate. But like you said, Big Pharma don't want to hear nothing about that stuff. They want you on all these drugs. They want you taking 7 pills. They want you seeing your doctor twice a month. And it's unfortunate that and hopefully these type of podcasts and bring that to the light, that there's other stuff out there to help you. And all the agencies kind of toss something at mental health. I still don't think it's been perfected. And
No way, not even close.
I'm an anti-establishment guy now. I think the agencies are all full of shit. They only care about themselves. So I think they do the bare minimum to check the box and go, oh, hey, are you okay? You saw 12 dead bodies. Yeah, I'm great. Like, okay, good. Like, everybody knows that most people aren't going to say, no, I'm not okay. There has to be a little bit more that goes into that. And my most traumatic incident was very similar to yours. Was a kid about 1 a.m., 1:30 a.m. was riding across a bridge, and a DUI driver hit him about 125 feet up, launched him off the side of a bridge. Oof. And it came out as like it was right at the end of shift. I didn't have to even go. I got off at 2 a.m., but I was like, hear it. And it sounded like bullshit when I got there until I got there and saw the scene. And as you described, the cries of the grandmother, the parents of this kid, Cole Coppola, stood on top of a bridge 100 feet up. There was no noise. We were on civilian boats and our boats, trolling the water. Quiet. There wasn't cars. There wasn't noise. And all I could hear were these 2 parents screaming for their 17-year-old son for hours and hours and hours. Cole. And they walked this bridge like a little over a mile. And they were walking back and forth all night. We finally pulled him out of the water about 5:30 a.m., put him on, took him over. Parents got to see him. And similar to what you said, I went to a restaurant to eat Italian food. And one of my buddies was in there, and he's like, hey, come over here. I want you to see some people. I sit down, and it's his parents. And I'm like, fuck.
Wow.
Man. And I'm like, hey, he's like, this is Mike. He was on the boat when you're like right there when your son got pulled out. And it was the same thing. I didn't have a radio to go off, but I was like, yeah. I'm like, I got to get going. Like, I didn't want to sit there. I didn't want to remember it. Because I hadn't really seen them. All I remember was them going across the bridge. And then now I'm sitting face to face with them. And the last time we had any contact was like 3 years earlier, when the worst day of their life. They were very nice and thankful, but I was like, I had that just, like, let me out of here feeling like I don't want to be around this. Like, as much as you care about them and all that, and you want to be, it brought it all back. And
it's not that you're hardened. It's that you don't want to go through that pain, man. What are you supposed to, I remember I was talking to my buddy. I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this? I literally, this is not false bravado. It could be cowardice in a way. I kid you not. I was talking to Taylor one night. I'm like, I would rather be shot at. I've been shot at before. I'd rather fight multiple guys. I've done it before. I'd rather be in the middle of a riot than deal with what I had to deal with there, man. There is nothing worse than that.
Yeah. And I think it's funny you say that, but I think that it seems like the tougher guys have problems with that stuff. Like and I'm not calling myself tough, but most of the guys you just named are. And it seems like they all have that similar thing where they could go kill 10 people in a room if they have to. But if it's something like that, it's like almost like you're so in control of everything else. Like, you can control gunfights, you can control like calls, and you can control your physical fitness, and you can control being able to fight people. But then when you lose control and you can't control a car accident where a little girl dies, or a drowning, or a terrible incident where somebody hangs themselves, it's like that you've lost the control, because you know that you make really good critical decisions, and you really train, and you're mentally prepared. So you're ready for all that critical stuff to go down because you've trained for it. And then something like that happens, and you're like, there's nothing I could do. I couldn't train harder. I couldn't have got here sooner. I couldn't, other than living here and watching this, pool all day, or watching this kid make sure he's not suicidal, or watching this, guy not walk in front of a car in the middle of the street. Like, you lost control. And I think that is what the problem is. You are so trained and so ready for all these critical, massive situations. And then one of these little life events that you have no control over leads you to stand there and look at a little girl dead, or a little kid dead, or somebody dead. And you're like, I can't do nothing about this. Like, there's nothing I can do. And I think that's in my head is what would bother me the most. Like, I don't have an answer. Like, I don't have an answer. Like, if I get beat up, I have an answer for that. Like, I didn't train hard enough. I know I should have done better. Guy gets away from me in a foot pursuit. I should have ran faster. 12-year-old kid. I had a 12-year-old kid hang himself with a belt, and I had to cut him off a fucking bunk bed. And I'm like, nothing I can do. Like, nothing.
Exactly.
Here I am, luck of the draw that I'm the closest one to this call, and I get to walk into this fucking disaster. And I look at the mom and dad and be like, Yeah, he's dead. Like, your kid's dead. Like, what do you want to tell you? Like, I got nothing for you. Like,
Yep.
you can't mentally prepare for that. You're just not
No.
ready for that. I'd rather, like you said, I'd rather walk in that room and have 3 guys with a fucking machete ready to kill me and try to fight my way out of that than I would rather walk in there and see a kid hanging from a fucking ceiling. Like, I don't want to see that.
Oh yeah.
And
Well, I mean, think about most of the stuff that we have. We respond most of the situations. If it needs a response, we're responding with anger. And anger is a great emotion, man. It's fucking powerful. I love it.
Yeah.
I used to love when that fire was about to go down, man. Would start burning. Like, yeah, here we go, motherfucker. I love that fire. But you know what, brother? You can't tap into that fire when you're dealing with emotion and heartbreaking emotions like that. Now it's true heartbreak.
Yeah.
And man, we don't want to feel that shit. Nor can you over and over and over. So yeah, you callous up. But when something gets by, man, and taps into that, you get by that goalie and they're touching that emotion, man, it's very different than our usual day to day.
Yep.
And frankly, to me, that was by far the hardest thing to deal with on the job was things like that, where good stuff, bad stuff is happening to good people.
Yeah.
Even, some shitty people, man. Some, listen, a dope boy gets killed.
Yeah,
I
you
think he's
still
a
don't
piece
want
of
to see
shit,
it.
but then his mom shows up, and it's still her baby. He made
Yeah.
bad life decisions, but
I think
it's still heartbreaking to see.
And I'm not gonna filter my feelings anymore. Those ones that suck, but that's where you're like, the dude wanted to sell dope since he was 14 and tote guns and flash them on Facebook and Instagram, and it's very unfortunate he's dead, but he led to that.
Yeah.
He did that. A little kid driving down the road and DUI takes out the fucking family. They didn't do anything to deserve that. They didn't ask for
No.
that. They didn't ask. They did everything right, and then something else happened. That's when I dodged all that shit, man. I couldn't stand death notifications, dude. 23 years, man. I dodged those calls. I dodged, and I'm a really crazy animal person too. I can't stand fucking dead
Yeah,
dogs.
me too.
Oh
Yep.
God. I was telling my wife yesterday, we were driving and I had a suicide one night where the fucking lady shot herself in the head, but shot her 2 fucking dogs first in the car. And I'm just like,
What?
I'm like, why? Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I looked at her and I'm like, okay, kill yourself. But I remember
Yeah.
I walked up to the car, I saw the lady, I looked in the back seat and I saw the 2 dogs and I walked away and I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm like, I called, I'm like, you're gonna have to come, somebody's gonna have to come deal with this. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not doing it. Like, I'm not doing it. And it's horrendous. And I'm just, call me a pussy if you want, but that's where I draw my line.
The same way.
Like I said,
We're watching a movie. I'm like, don't fuck with the dog. Just
Yeah.
kill the people. Leave the dog alone.
Yeah,
That's what breaks my heart. It's the funniest thing.
There
It's
was
just so innocent.
There was a terrible one like a day or two ago where a shepherd got out and started attacking the cop and fucked him up bad. And he had to kill it. And he calls on the radio. My wife, I didn't hear it. My wife told me about it. Like, she said, you could hear the level of distraught this poor cop was for killing this dog. Like, I remember one time I took a guy down. He had a gun laying, sitting next to him in the house, and he scooted just far enough away. This is before all the other tactics we would do. He scooted just far enough away. I was standing in the front door where he couldn't see me, but I had another guy watching him. And he nodded. We had this signal. So I turned the corner and just rushed this kid and smashed him away from the gun. And I'll never forget this fucking pit bull. I had no idea there was a dog in the house. Jumped off the couch. And I could feel the fucking saliva hit me in the neck. And my buddy pulls his gun out and puts it to the dog. I'm like, don't shoot it. Don't shoot it. I'm like, unless it fucking bites my neck, I'm like, don't shoot it. And the girl outside's like, I'll get the dog. I'll get the dog. And I'm just holding this dude down. I'm like, fuck this dude. Get the dog. Like, please, I don't want anybody to kill this dog. I'm like, I'll take the first bite. Like, if it starts to kill me, I'm like, shoot it. But I'm like, please don't. And I never had to shoot a dog. Never shot a person, thank God. Never had to shoot a dog. Like, I'd rather get in a gunfight than have to kill a dog, honestly.
Oh yeah, me too. Bro, I had a loose Roddy one day. It came over vicious. So actually, I had my Roddy after that, but I love Roddies. So I pull up, park the car, and the dog is a little in front of my car. So I go back, I open the rear door. We had cage cars on the passenger side. I open it on the driver's side, and then I get food out of my cooler. So I start making a trail leading up to the rear door and then into the car. So I'm like, come here, buddy, come here, buddy. So I'm at the back of the car calling him. He kind of comes over, he starts eating the food. This idiot that I never wanted on any of my calls rolls up, and he gets out of the car. I'm like, Cook, just stay there. So I'm about to get the dog in the back seat, and this moron walks around the car to up the driver's side in front of the car, and now the dog sees him and charges him. So this moron's got to clip off 2 rounds. He bounces him off the ground, but hits him, bam, bam, in the chest. This dog didn't make a peep, didn't cry, didn't scream, nothing. Took two in the chest. He turned around, started running away, and we just followed the blood trail and ended up getting him. He actually did not die, but I almost punched him in the face right there in the street. I was going off,
Yeah.
and I'm like, "There's no fucking need, you asshole! I told you not to go there." Just I love dogs. There was no need for that to happen.
Yep. All right,
But,
I'll bring up your 1 second. Share. Boom. This is your Instagram page, and you run your own podcast, the Resilient Warrior Nation podcast. Where can we find that?
Yes, that's on YouTube. I haven't really put it on Spotify. I think we're going to do that. But yeah, essentially, one of the ways when the universe was telling me to help other vets and first responders, I wanted to do for others what was done for me by Shawn Ryan. So, I bring on guests. We talk about their highest of highs and lows of lows. And, I just want to inspire and give hope to guys and girls who are going through it. I show guys and girls they're ordinary people who've done extraordinary things with their lives, but I show and we talk about, sometimes their biggest missteps, like Taylor, talk about in depth, him losing his trident and how all that he went through, Jimmy Watson, all the mistakes that he's made. I talk about all the mistakes I made, everyone, just to show them that we're no different from you.
Yep.
And yeah, most of us are on the other side right now, but again, it's not linear. We ebb and flow in the healing. We wake up some days. I've been going through it maybe the last 3 weeks. My mom's anniversary of her death came up June 29th of last year. So I've been kind of going through it myself. And what's amazing is it leapt from the sadness about my mom. We were actually estranged at the time of her death and went into imposter syndrome. Like I'm scheduled next month to go to a speaking summit with Jason Redmond's company because I want to start doing public speaking. And now the imposter syndrome starts hitting. Like, who are you to be going on and speaking to people? Like, why should they listen to you? And I'm not trying to be anything other than myself, just telling my most authentic, genuine story. And hopefully it'll help someone else who's watching. I'm sure, there's a guy or girl watching us right now. The way we look, that they're going to listen to us because they wouldn't listen to, again, like a 110-pound soy boy telling his story. But, they identify with us. They see themselves in us.
If you look at Jimmy Watson and Taylor Kavanaugh, and you think you would never in a billion years think those guys have an ounce of problems until you hear their story, until you see them talk. They give their life to God. They come through all the drug abuse, all the problems they had, and they say, I have had severe mental health issues, and these are the. I'll tell you a funny story about both of them. I remember seeing them, like I got to meet them when they did the Other Than Honorable podcast. I remember seeing them. I'm thinking these guys got to be like 5'7", they're hopefully short little guys, stocky guys. Bro, Taylor Kavanaugh.
I don't know why.
Taylor Kavanaugh walked out of that fucking room 6'2", like 252. I'm like, holy fuck. To think, and you would, if I stood that guy in the front of a room and said, what's his problem? Nobody's going to pick mental health. Nobody's going to look at Jimmy Watson and think that guy has any mental health issues or ever had any. So you're right. Guys like that can come out and say, I've had problems. I've had to solve these problems. I've had to do things to get better. Anybody looks at that and goes, well, if those guys can have problems, any of us can have problems.
Yeah. And 6 people so far have said it to me straight up. Like, bro, I look at you and think you wouldn't have any problems. I'm like, why? Because I look like I'm in decent physical shape. Like, one does not correlate to the other. It's got nothing to do with the other. And I think it's the funniest thing. Like, you look at people, but if you think about it yourself, I mean, we do it too. I'm watching Eddie Penney. Like, who would think this guy was going through it? Or I went to training last year with GBRS Group, and DJ Shipley and I got into a deep conversation. And he was like, he was an Ibogaine user to heal his, but he's like, Mike, before that, I didn't feel anything. And I'm like, DJ, no matter what uniform we put on, man, we're human beings first. We're supposed to feel life is beautiful. We're not supposed to fucking callous up. We have to avoid a lot of this pain because you can't absorb it. But then we callous up so much we feel nothing. It's not living, man. You're just existing. What the fuck is the point of going through this?
Yeah. My two big, and I'm actually, even with all that stuff with the call we talked about with the kid off the bridge, my two biggest PTSD incidents in my life, and we're all different. My dad died in 2011, and that was the slap in the face. That was the slap in the face that this life is real. Like, to me, it was like the equivalent of like finding out Santa Claus wasn't real. Like, your dad's not supposed to die. Like, your dad's your dad. He takes you to baseball. He's your dad. At only 54 years old, my dad passed away, and I'm like, I went to a deep, dark alcoholism years, 2-3 years of just disaster. I'm lucky to be alive. Nothing crazy like anybody else's story, but I did a lot of dumb shit, and I was a raging alcoholic, and I'm lucky to be here to even talk about it. I got through that, and then incident happened with my wife where she was assaulted, and that one was the wake up call that if it was just like the other calls we talked about where I had no control over it and I felt completely helpless, and that one really hit me hard. Like you start blaming yourself. How did I miss it? How did I do this? Why did I not know it? Like, why didn't I say something? Why did I see what I thought I saw something? You just start going through that, and that one sent me down
Yeah.
the path. And I ended up going to EMDR. You ever do EMDR? Just me to EMDR.
No, I actually just applied for it
Yeah.
in Florida. Since I was not a cop in Florida, another state, I was not clear for it, but they said they're trying to add that portion to the bill.
Good.
So I'm supposed to get in touch with these guys in another few months. How was that?
It was very good. I went to Greenville, South Carolina, and there was a lieutenant for the Greenville Police Department. He had 2 critical incidents. 2 times he was the first on scene for 2 sergeants killed in line of duty, his sergeants.
Wow.
Within like a 4-year period. So he went through that, rolls up on scene, dead sergeant, like 2 or 3 years, fucking identical, dead sergeant. So he says, he's a SWAT commander, lieutenant. He says, I have to get out of this job and figure out how to help people that saw what I saw and deal with what I deal with. So he went and got his degree, and now he runs a practice. He's retired, and it was good. It was great. It helped. I think that and the ketamine were two of the best things I've ever done. Because like you said, you could talk about it, but talking about it makes you feel good to me initially to get it out and have somebody else reason with you, but it doesn't really change anything that happened. And that's where, the medications they fucking pump you, all that does is fucking make you drunk or, whatever you want to call it. I could call it drunk. You're just a zombie. And then you live in a zombie state. So you don't have any emotion. If you want to have a normal life, you don't want to be doped up the rest of your life. The ketamine and the EMDR were able to hit my brain and go, I can see how I can fix this, or I can see how I can move instead of compartmentalizing and let it bother me every time. I can see where I can move this somewhere else and go, yeah, it happened, but I have all this other stuff going on. This is good. That's good. And it is what it is. And I say that like it is what it is, but it's a healthy, it is what it is. Like, I know it happened. It's there, but there's so many other good things. I'm going to focus on this, and that's going to die back there with like when I fell down in the hallway at school and everybody laughed at me, and like it happened, but it's not going to run my life the rest of my life.
The emotional charge is kind of taken away.
So that's kind of what EMDR and ketamine did for me was kind of push those things and have a little bit better way of dealing with. Because I think guys like us and the other guys we're talking about, because we're so used to living at that high level, the trauma lives right up there at that same level. It's like catching bad guys. Oh my God, I don't know how to fix this. And it's right there, just like everything else. Like you can't get rid of it. And it's like, it just spins. Just like going to work. When you want to catch bad guys, you're like, I'm going to go tomorrow. I'm going to get that motherfucker that's selling dope in that corner. And all you think about is that until you get them. Well, when you got that trauma, there is no getting it. You have to get rid of it.
Exactly.
So like, that's where you have to learn how do I get rid of that, or how do I make that not at my forefront of my brain? And that's, to me, EMDR and ketamine helped push that stuff away.
Yeah, I've heard great things about the EMDR. I want to try it myself. And supposedly creates brain synapses and does a lot. I actually had an opioid addiction myself. Went to rehab in 2012. And this is for a guy that never did a drug in his life other than smoke weed in high school.
Well, that
I
was
was just
time,
miserable.
that was the year, right? That was when it all was going down. 2012 was the epidemic peak.
Yeah, that was horrible. It was legal. So I was getting tramadol was the medicine from my doctor, and then it was legal to purchase it online. So, I knew I had a problem, but at the same point, you kind of bargaining with yourself like, this is legal though. Deep inside, you shouldn't be doing what you're doing. But I was miserable. Marriage sucked. It was my first marriage. Family wasn't getting along with her. She wasn't getting along with them. I was trying to make everyone happy. Everyone was miserable. So I've been taking it for years without, any problems. But then realized, like, hey, you know what? This shit gives me a euphoric feeling. I feel good when I'm on it. I'm not thinking about all the other stuff. And then start taking more and more and more and more. Next thing you know, I'm taking like 50 a day, multiple seizures, moron. And finally got help for that. But I remember that first night, man, I'm in there. I had like 3 bunkmates. I'm crying to myself. I'm like, how did I end up here, man?
Mm-hmm.
But it's easy. It's a lot easier to end up there than you will believe. And it happened to me. It can happen to anyone. But, and it wasn't not the end of my story. And for you guys and girls who are going through it right now, once you get help, it won't be the end of yours.
No,
but you got to
and
raise your hand.
and it's we're alcohol is so accepted these days, but it's the same thing. And
Yeah,
unfortunately, there's so many guys that depend on alcohol, and that's a little harder to detect until something crazy happens. But it's just anything that is, if you're leaning on something to fill or to block something, it's time to get help. It's time to
yeah,
go talk to somebody. Talk, and that's where like my DMs are. I'm always going to answer. Like I answer every message I get.
yeah. Me too.
It's hard. Guys are masculine men. Don't want to walk up to some fucking college kid that got a degree in psychology. This fucking guy that knows shit. Talk to a guy like me. Reach out. Say, hey man, I'm going through it. We had a guy do that on Anti-Hero one night. He got in the chat and just happened to say, hey, I'm going through it. And fuck, dude, I'm like, message me. Tyler was like, message me, like, talk to me. So, these platforms are cool and, sponsors and all that dumb stuff that goes with it. But at the same time, like part of the reason this conversation is taking place is because I know both of us want somebody to hear this and go, all right, they're right. Like I got to go do something. I got to get help, or I need to at least talk to somebody and make sure what I'm feeling is, not right, or I got to, check myself. And, that goes with mental health, physical health. It's just right down the line, because if you're out of balance in all those areas, you're not going to make it, or life is not going to be enjoyable. And, you're only here a very, very, very short time, man,
Yep.
and the older you
And I think
get, the more you realize that shit.
you got that right. I just saw something the other day. Denzel had like a video where he's like, you only have 75 summers on this earth, 75 Christmases, blah 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 blah. And if you think about it, I'm coming up to my 57th. Like potentially, there's obviously there's a finite amount for all of us, but it's a short trip, man, and none of us getting out alive. I think one big misconception is everyone thinks they're alone as they're going through this. I promise you guys who are watching this, you are not alone. There are unfortunately thousands more like you who are going through it. And Taylor and I talk about this all the time. We always think everyone else has it figured out. When in fact, he was talking, we were having a conversation one day. He's like, two SEAL Team 6 guys in particular, he thought had life by the balls until it kind of fell apart. And then
Yeah.
he's like, bro, at that point, I realized that no one's got the shit figured out. No one has got it figured out, guys. People
Nope.
fake it, or they don't let you see in there enough at all. People let you see what they want you to see. Most people don't fully pull that curtain back. So don't ever compare yourself to others, because we're all fucked up, as Goggins
Yeah.
says.
Yeah. And
All of us.
the mental health is where it's scary. It's just like anything else. If you're in financial trouble and you're screwing up, there's some consequences. But if you're mentally fucked up and you continue to push it to the side, and I'll just make it and I'll get through another day. Unfortunately, there's a spot where, and suicide is a massive problem, where that next day doesn't come. And if you don't go get help, anybody is capable of getting to that next day that doesn't come, because
Yeah.
eventually, there's not as, you can go bankrupt, you're not going to die from all those other issues, marital problems, they compound the issue, but that's not the ultimate end. The end is when all those things fill your brain to the point where you have nothing else, you can't do it another day. And that's where you never want to get. And sometimes where I look at it is, it can't always be a friend or relative and think, I'm just going to talk to this person. And a lot of times those people are going to tell you what you want to hear.
Yeah.
So that's where it's good to get a guy like a hardcore guy, somebody who's going to say, look, motherfucker, you're fucked up, like in a very real way, and go,
Yeah.
no, man, like, and that's why I look at Taylor and Jimmy. Like, if you ever looked at those two guys, like I said, you would never think, but to watch them and go, all right, those guys had it all fucked up. The stories I heard when I was watching that podcast, in the fucking jungle in Hawaii, one's doing mushrooms, one's doing fucking cocaine, and they end up, one goes to Colombia, one goes to Thailand. It's like that shit is fucking insane. But those guys, that's the extreme. But the same thing is happening on a very small level everywhere. Like, you're going to the casino, or you're going to fucking bar and drink, or you're hooking up with prostitutes, or you're cheating on your wife, whatever it may be, you're in that same category of just doing what it takes to survive, and you're just avoiding the problem, which is get the problem fixed and get into something that can help that problem and get your life back on track.
Exactly. Those guys saw you can't run away from yourself. As hard as they tried, they went halfway around the world, doing substances that dull their pain. It does nothing. Jimmy Watson has got, as crazy as Taylor's life story is, Jimmy Watson's got the craziest story of anyone I've ever seen or heard in my life. It includes 30 years of policing, all the people I've ever met. Like, It's unbelievable. He's so humble. I love Jimmy because, like, even on my podcast, he was feeling emotion. He was crying, and I love it because it shows other guys. To me, it was a beautiful thing. It's
Yeah.
okay to cry. One of my podcasts, Zach Ferguson, is another former SEAL. He and I both cried, and we got done. I'm like, hit the record button. I'm like, bro, that was fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's exactly what happened to me with Eddie Penney. And someone's gonna watch you say, if a Navy SEAL could cry, it's okay for me to do so, and you just changed someone's life. So it's hugely impactful for you know alpha males who have been in these professions to talk about it. And the most beautiful thing that's happened to me is I've had the ability to become vulnerable over the past 15 months or so, and I can literally talk about my deepest feelings, and I'm able to talk to whoever I'm speaking about on a level where I used to think it was weakness to talk about
Yeah.
that. 100% the opposite.
Yeah.
That's the way it has to be,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
I would have
We
if
have to make ourselves
if
vulnerable.
you'd have told me how to retire and I would have stood here and told you I had problem my dad dying or my wife's issue or all those things, I would have told you no way. I'm gonna hide it. I'm gonna be the tough dude. I'm not gonna be vulnerable. And it's not the way to live. It's not. And there's still some guys in that community of like SEALs and special forces and all that still kind of hold that shitty, like cocky side. And then you got guys like Jimmy and Taylor and that are just those are genuinely good fucking dudes.
Yeah.
Like I said, they don't know me from Adam. I walked into that studio the first day to meet those dudes, and you would have thought I've known them for 20 fucking years. Just the
Yeah.
nicest
Yeah.
guys, caring about you, asking how you're doing, just and to have been through everything, they could be cocky, whatever they wanted to be. They have the resume, they have the credentials, they've done everything that everybody on earth dreamed of as a kid to go do. And now you look at them and they're just kicking it on the couch and just giving you their time, texting you. I mean, Taylor set us up. Hey, I think this guy, you guys would be good together. Like, go talk. Just good dudes, man. Really good dudes, and their message is really genuine. And if you're not gonna listen to me and you, listen to those fucking guys, man, because
Yeah, exactly.
they're the
And I
good
think it's the
ones.
most real thing is that guys from our communities recognize real, and they're going to smell bullshit a mile away. And
Yeah.
they can see that Jimmy and Taylor are 100% genuine, 100% authentic. Taylor's my mindset coach, and I hired him because of his story. Like, this guy lost his trident, self sabotage. He readily admits it. That's why I love sometimes when people make comments about him losing it. They're perfect beings commenting on him. Like, I've yet to meet a perfect being. He's admitting to you, and it takes balls to
Yeah.
admit your biggest missteps in life to the world. Yet they readily do it to help others. But the fact that he was sitting in that truck after losing his trident for 3 days with a sawed-off shotgun, didn't kill himself, and
Yeah.
then goes to a foreign country for 5 years, not knowing anyone, doesn't speak the language. I'm like, the mental strength that took. I'm like, this is the guy I want,
I
and
would
he's been nothing but gracious.
I would challenge the dude with the easiest life on earth to fly to France tomorrow, join the Foreign Legion, and learn French. You couldn't do it. Like, I
Nope.
think about that in my head. I'm like, I could probably go do the military side of it. I can't. There's no fucking way I'm learning French. This dude speaks fucking French, man.
Yep.
He learned a whole new language. Fucking start like when he talks about starting from the bottom, begin scrubbing floors and all. This dude's a fucking
Yep.
Navy SEAL, the elite of the elite,
Exactly.
and he's over in France scrubbing floors to rebuild an image of himself, or actually not an image, just rebuild himself and go, you know what? I'm
Yeah.
going to start from ground zero again, and I'm going to rebuild myself and put myself back through. It's kind of like going to the gym and suffering. Like, that's my way. That's my real. I like to suffer. Like, I go to the
Yeah.
gym and I'm like, what can I do to suffer? I'd walk in when we had the agency gym and there would be these shitty workouts on the board. We had this deputy chief monster in the gym. And I would look up there and go, nobody else in the agency is going to do that workout because he put it up there and it's fucking miserable. Guess what? I'm going to do it. It may take me 30 minutes longer, but I want to do that one. And that's kind of, I'm not as tough as these guys, but that was my version of suffering. So that dude went over and goes, I'm going to rebuild my entire life, learn a new language, and commit to 3 years minimum of pain and suffering. And dude, that's the guy. Like, I'd go to war with that dude, man. Like,
Hell yeah. And he said, we were talking about it the other day. He's like, Mike, various times I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here? And I'm like, bro, I can't imagine, the self-doubt that you would have periodically. I mean, everything he was going through was so foreign, no pun intended. Um, and he's with guys. Listen, man, they were fucking career criminals that joined that stuff.
yeah, yeah,
Hardcore Eastern Europeans. Like, he's not hanging out with the creme de la creme and still making it. I mean, just the mental fortitude. Um, he admits his mistakes. We've all made them, but he's learned from them, and that is huge you're going to make mistakes. You should make mistakes. You're human. You're not infallible. You're always going to. It doesn't matter. But what do you do to correct them? And
Absolutely.
the stuff that these guys have done has been incredible. Yourself, you overcome that. Can I ask you a question? How was your relationship with your dad growing up?
It was bad. So I'll tell this story.
It's a common moniker.
We'll wrap it up. So
yeah,
it's a tough one. So alcoholic, never around. Mom did everything. Mom raised us. Dad was the enforcer when he needed to be. But the day before my dad died, he knew he was going to die. And it's the wildest story ever. He knew he was going to die. I don't know how. We had a party, almost like a going away party, where everybody came over. He was having in heart failure. And it was almost like the end of Cheers or whatever, when there's just 2 people left. And I walked out of the house, and my dad always stood in the garage. I have 4 kids. And I hate this fucking story. And he looked at me and he said, "I'm sorry." And I said, "I know you are." And I said, "I forgive you." I said, "For what you weren't as a father, you made up for as a grandfather. You were a great grandfather to my kids." I said, "You treated them the best a grandfather could treat them." And he took he was a bass fisher, and he took his necklace off and he handed it to me. And he said, "I want you to keep this." I said, "Okay." And he said, we talked, and I said, "I forgive you for everything. Like I hold no grudges with you." And I went home. It was about 7 o'clock, and my mom called me about 7:30 a.m. Said, "Your dad's dead. He's in the bed, and he's dead, barely alive. They took him to hospice. He passed away a couple hours later." So that was like almost staged in a movie. And I tell it, people, I'm not fabricating. That's exactly how it went. The conversation a little longer. I'm not going to go because I'll start crying.
Yeah.
But it was a deep conversation. It was a terrible relationship, but that man made up for that relationship by being the best grandfather I've ever seen. And, if I didn't have that conversation, I don't know if I would have survived his passing. Like, I don't know how I would have got through that without having had that conversation. But it was, and we talked about sports. We talked about wrestling. We weren't enemies, but we never discussed my childhood and his lack of being a father in my childhood. We never discussed it till that day. That was the first time we had that conversation. And he fucking died the next morning. So
that's pretty
wild. Yeah, it was pretty wild, man. And that's I understand. I guess probably understandable now why I went into alcoholism and lost my fucking shit when he passed away, because I didn't know how to handle that. And then I watched my mom suffer. My mom suffered. They met when my mom. My mom had me when she was just turned 17.
Okay.
Only guy she ever been with. I don't think she's ever had sex with another man in her life. That was the first guy she'd ever been with. She's never dated or been in another relationship since. So it was pretty wild, man. But
yeah, it's crazy. I only asked the question because I didn't realize through my career how many of us have not had good relationships with our dads growing up. And I don't know if it's because of them or in spite of them that we go into these warrior cultures. We're trying to prove to them something. But it is almost to a man. It's rare that I speak to guys who've had great relationships with their dad, who are vets and first responders.
Yeah.
So
it's usually the same.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Well, Mike, I don't want to piss everybody off, but this was probably the most unexpected and best podcast. I feel like genuine, raw, 2 dudes talking about things that nobody thought we'd probably talk about. And it's been an absolute pleasure, honor. I'm so happy I met you. And thank you so much for coming on.
Absolutely, brother. I echo those sentiments. It just flowed beautifully, and that's the way a podcast. It's a great one when it just kind of flows. And you're not putting any effort whatsoever into it. So I had a great talk. I'll have to have you as a guest on mine too, because it'll be part 2, and I'm sure that'll be a great one as well, brother.
We can loosen it up a little bit and make it a little more fun instead of serious.
Yeah, and hopefully, Taylor said he's coming up in August, so I'm probably going to be scheduled.
Last thing I was going to ask you, where are you at?
I'm in Lake Worth.
Okay, I'm an hour away. And we are August pump for everybody. August 16th, Unseen Creatures Brewery in Miami is the Counterculture live show, 6 to midnight. So I'm sure you'll be able to make that. We could probably meet.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Down there.
And like I said, I'm only an hour away, so maybe we'll get lunch or something.
Yeah, brother. Sounds fantastic, man. I'd love to.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming.
All right, brother.
Yep.
Thank you again. You too.
I'm the only white face in this area. You don't belong here. Stop! I'll shoot you in the back!